Alright, y'all, hold up, because we really need to break down these Kenny Atkinson comments, Steven Jackson firing back at him, and Stephen A. Smith jumping right into the middle of all this drama. And listen to this. Even some of the stuff Donovan Mitchell was saying afterwards sounded off because the entire team came across mentally drained and completely shaken. We all knew the moment they blew that 22-point lead in the fourth quarter with around 8 minutes still left on the clock, things were headed in a bad direction fast. Girl, Jalen Brunson turned into a straight-up superhero out there and completely flipped the energy of that game upside down. At that point, you could already feel the series slipping away because teams usually do not recover from collapses like that. And it wasn't just the loss itself that shocked people either. It was the brutal way everything unraveled right in front of everybody watching. That kind of meltdown stays in your head, and overcoming that psychological wall afterward is way harder than fans sometimes realize. Now, after the game, sure, they tried to say all the expected things about it only being one game and reminding everybody they had a 22-point lead, but come on now. You could clearly tell that loss did serious damage mentally, whether they wanted to admit it publicly or not. So today, we're diving into exactly what Kenny Atkinson said that's got the internet going crazy right now, plus some very interesting comments Donovan Mitchell made that people are definitely paying attention to.
That series lasted 6 games, but obviously it's going better for them now.
Mm-hmm.
This is your group's first time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not over yet, but is there a lesson specifically from getting this far that maybe you hadn't learned before that you would be able to carry with you if you got this opportunity again?
Don't lose game 1 after being up 22. Changes the entire dynamic of the series. But you can't reflect. We're not sitting there reflect on that. But if I were to say one thing, that would be that. But hey, it happened, and now we have to find a way to get back from 3-0.
Analytically, I think we won the I said 3 out of 3. We're 2 out of 3 in the expected. I don't know if you guys follow that. It was an expected score, and we won 2 out of 3. And I know you're looking confused, but
I'm not.
There is really, if you believe in process and all that, take that layer. I know I don't throw that on them. I see it for myself. We have this feeling, I have this feeling, then I can go to our analytical table and be like, man, we are, and I think last night it was, the expected score was like 1 point or 2. Us shooting way below expected, them shooting way over. I know no one wants to hear that. I think you guys like hearing it. I know, general public, no one wants to hear that. Everyone's outcome based, and, sure, I get that too.
So with his team sitting right on the edge of getting swept, this man really decided to start talking analytics, and listen, this is exactly why so many fans think analytics is hurting basketball. It's gotten so out of control that now you got coaches bringing spreadsheet logic into the locker room instead of giving players real leadership in pressure moments. Hold up, because hearing a coach say analytically we won the game after another loss just sounds crazy when the scoreboard already told the real story. At the end of the day, statistically, you still lost the game. You had fewer points than the other team in each of the last 3 matchups, and honestly, that should be the only thing anybody in that building is focused on fixing right now. And girl, the second those comments hit the internet, Stephen A. Smith and Stephen Jackson immediately had something to say about it.
That moment right there is why Kenny Atkinson deserves to be an assistant coach. Right there. Now, obviously, I'm being somewhat facetious because the man led Cleveland to a #1 seed last year. Doggy has pointed out how he was a damn good coach in Brooklyn and how Kyrie and KD should have never wanted him gone. And even though they underachieved last year in the playoffs, here they are this year in the Eastern Conference Finals. Give credit where credit is due. You are down 3-0 in a conference finals. You walked in 4 games away from a championship appearance, and now you're on the verge of getting swept. And what comes out of your mouth is that we really did well the 2 out of the 3 games. Analytically, see, that's the kind of stuff that if you certain owners, not every owner, But certain owners out there, Wendy, you know I'm telling the truth. And Doggy, if you're honest about it, you know the coaches you've spoken to. You know I'm telling the truth. An owner out there, not all, but there's some out there that would have the pink slip ready for him the second they lose tonight. Just because of stuff like that. You can't say that. You just can't.
Hey, to my Cleveland Cavaliers fans, there's something that somebody ain't gonna tell y'all. Y'all coach ain't holding y'all stars accountable. James and Donovan Mitchell ain't trying to guard nobody. When y'all was playing the Pistons, pivotal game, Donovan Mitchell on Cade Cunningham, instead of guarding his yard, he waving for help. James ain't trying to guard nobody against New York. So, and your coach come out and say it ain't James or Donovan fault, it's a team fault. No, your coach got to be able to coach through his stars. Pop got on Tim and Dave more than anybody, so how can he not get on the rest of the guys? You got to be able to teach through your stars so the rest of the team will buy in. It's game 4. Donovan Mitchell, you talking about game 1, the 20-point swing and change the series. But y'all still worried about game 1. That shows y'all quit. Your coach talking about he can't watch the game because he don't think y'all lost because y'all won analytically. Even fans, y'all coach ain't holding y'all teams accountable. And that shows he don't know nothing about basketball. Facts.
Steven Jackson made some strong points there, and honestly, Stephen A. Smith wasn't completely wrong either. Because at this point, you start wondering if some of these guys are better suited as assistant coaches focused on data instead of being the voice leading an entire locker room. Listen to this. One thing I've never liked is how analytics slowly started taking over the soul of basketball itself. We've already seen how it affected certain organizations, especially those Chicago Bulls teams years ago that practically banned mid-range shots altogether. Guys like Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, and others were basically told not to live in that area of the floor anymore. Ayo even talked about it himself while discussing why things opened up more for him with the Minnesota Timberwolves. He flat out said the mid-range game was almost treated like it was illegal back in Chicago. And all of that comes directly from this analytics obsession, where every possession has to end at the rim or behind the three-point line. According to the numbers crowd, a three-pointer automatically becomes more valuable than a clean mid-range jumper no matter who's taking it. But hold up, this is exactly why I think analytics can become dangerous when people treat it like gospel, because analytics only measures certain parts of the game while completely ignoring other momentum-changing factors. If I'm constantly attacking the rim aggressively and forcing the opposing superstar into early foul trouble, the spreadsheets don't fully capture how valuable that is. Now, somebody like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Victor Wembanyama suddenly has to sit early because my pressure changed the rhythm of the entire game. That happened because I stayed aggressive instead of settling for low-pressure three-point attempts every trip down the floor. So that's my issue with analytics, because it only tells one side of the basketball story. It doesn't account for the pressure you create, the foul trouble you force, or the way you wear teams down mentally over 4 quarters. Now the opponent has to rely on bench players longer than expected, and suddenly you're attacking weaker talent for extended stretches. That's why I've never fully bought into the analytics movement the way some people have. Basketball should still be played naturally based on what a player actually does best. If your advantage is size and physicality, then after grabbing a rebound, you should sprint straight down the middle of the floor with authority. You should be sealing defenders in the paint, demanding the ball on the block, and using your strength where it matters most. You shouldn't be parked in the corner launching threes if outside shooting isn't even part of your game. Now yes, stretch bigs absolutely have value in today's NBA, but sometimes it feels like the league is trying to force every single player into the exact same mold whether it fits them or not. And hearing Kenny Atkinson make comments like that honestly left me confused, because this Cavaliers team did have a strong regular season. Even with all that success though, they still got completely outplayed by Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers when it mattered most. And yeah, the Knicks had their struggles too, but listen, I honestly believe this newer version of the Knicks, with Mike Brown making quicker adjustments and trusting a deeper bench, probably could have challenged Indiana differently. Meanwhile, the Cavaliers just looked flat out overwhelmed in that series overall. And if we're being real, Donovan Mitchell-led teams have consistently struggled against Jalen Brunson in the postseason for years now. That goes all the way back to the Dallas series when Luka Doncic missed those first few games and Brunson completely took over. Jalen Brunson was cooking in that matchup long before people started calling him a superstar. So when people like Stephen A. Smith act shocked by Brunson's rise, I kind of laugh because the signs were already there the whole time. Every single time Luka set out, Brunson showed flashes of being that guy already. Anybody who truly studies basketball could see the talent was obvious from the beginning. The footwork, the pace, the shot creation, the way he controlled defenders and created for teammates, none of that was accidental. You don't suddenly dominate playoff games just because somebody else got injured and opened up more opportunities for you. Girl, the way Brunson looked in those moments told you immediately that he had been underutilized, not overrated. Sometimes you have to stop staring at spreadsheets and actually watch the game itself to recognize real talent. Because some players with prettier numbers are honestly not better than other guys who just happen to get fewer opportunities to show what they can really do. Listen, Stat was absolutely cooking with that point because honestly, he's right about Kenny Atkinson. That dude does not come across like a real locker room leader to me. And while we're talking about it, James Harden is pretty much the same player he's always been. The last time I truly remember Harden locking in defensively was back when he was coming off the bench for OKC. I still remember him guarding Kobe Bryant in that playoff series and actually doing a respectable job against the Lakers during that run. That's honestly one of the final stretches I can remember where James Harden consistently looked engaged on defense. But once he fully leaned into that foul hunting style of basketball, it started hurting him badly in the postseason. Now, I know people try comparing him to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Brunson, and some of the other elite guards today, but hold up. The difference is, those guys can still dominate even when referees swallow the whistle. James Harden has always depended heavily on getting to the free throw line in order to really control a game offensively. Meanwhile, if Shai isn't getting calls, he'll just start cooking from the mid-range and adjust instantly. Sometimes defenses can slow him down for stretches, but he always finds another way to impact the game on the fly. Jalen Brunson is the exact same way when it comes to adapting through physicality and pressure. And girl, Brunson actually enjoys contact because he wants defenders leaning on him while he still finishes the play anyway. That mentality is completely different from what we've seen from Harden over the years. A lot of Harden's regular season dominance came from a system that depended too much on officiating trends and foul calls. That's why his performances could swing so wildly once playoff basketball tightened up. Now, don't get me wrong, Harden still has talent and can absolutely break defenders down with his handle and footwork, but over time, he became too dependent on referees rewarding every move instead of simply reacting and playing naturally. As for Donovan Mitchell, sometimes he settles for quick contested threes way too early in possessions, because when Donovan attacks the basket aggressively, he's still one of the most explosive scorers in the league. And one thing I'll never question is the effort and competitiveness Donovan brings every night. He's not losing because he doesn't care or because he isn't trying hard enough. I just think Jalen Brunson gives you more total control over the flow and rhythm of a basketball game. Brunson can completely dictate pace, manipulate defenders, and control tempo possession by possession. Donovan Mitchell is a smaller, explosive guard who can absolutely catch fire offensively when he gets rolling. But in terms of slowing games down, controlling every possession, and managing pace, that's not really his strongest area.
That's where Jalen Brunson separates himself from a lot of these other star guards. And listen to this, if you go back to some of my older videos from when Brunson was still in Dallas, I was already saying all this back then. Might have been on this channel or the other one, but I repeatedly said teams should prioritize Brunson over chasing bigger names. I said don't throw all your money at Donovan Mitchell, Paul George, Kevin Durant, or whoever else was rumored at the time. Go get Jalen Brunson instead. I said that over and over again before everybody else finally caught on. So when people act like nobody predicted Brunson becoming this type of player, nah, I definitely did. I came on here multiple times telling people Brunson was the guy to build around. That's also why I defended him so heavily once the Knicks started winning consistently. Now, earlier in the postseason, I did criticize Brunson for ball hogging a little too much offensively. But ever since that Game 3 matchup in Atlanta, things completely changed. Mike Brown adjusted the offense and started moving Brunson around more instead of having everything centered in one spot. And now, trying to defend Brunson off the ball has become an absolute nightmare for defenses. Very tough, because now defenders can't just load up on him with everything happening directly in front of them anymore. That freedom allows Brunson to save energy and become even more dangerous late in games during those fourth quarter moments. By that point, Mikal Bridges is already in rhythm, OG Anunoby is knocking down shots, and the entire offense is flowing smoothly. So once Brunson takes over late with the ball in his hands, defenses are basically trapped in impossible decisions. Yeah, he can still kill you in the mid-range and completely take over scoring-wise whenever he wants, but now the surrounding players are also comfortable and ready to hit huge shots around him. So defenses really have to pick their poison against this Knicks team right now. And honestly, that balance is exactly why New York has been thriving throughout this postseason run. They haven't lost since that Game 3 matchup in Atlanta, which honestly says a lot about how locked in they've become. But yeah, that's my overall take on the situation. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comments because I know people are gonna have opinions on this one. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Until next time, everybody, peace.